What's up, Hokie fans? This is Coach Mike Holmes, contributor with the Sons of Saturday, with this week's Hokie Hitters of the Week. I say hitters of the week because this week, after this win over Wake Forest, I'm breaking down two different plays. The first play is the fake punt that we ran in the third quarter. That was a monumental momentum shifter in the game. It allowed the offense to stay on the field. It also is a great example of what our coaches are doing during the week, changing things up, adding some new wrinkles here and there, and also being able to correctly scout the opponent. The second play is going to be the Keonta Jenkins strip sack in the fourth quarter. That was a prime example of just how great the defense played overall during this game. Wake Forest is a very tough team. They are extremely well coached. Dave Clawson is a fantastic X's and O's coach. He's a fantastic strategist, and that slow mesh offense can cause headaches for a lot of different teams because it's something that you don't see from week to week, and it can do a lot of different things if you're not fully prepared for it. And our coaching staff, hats off to them, and the players. They played their butts off all game, and this strip sack from Keonta Jenkins is an example of how coaches trusting players and everybody, all 11 players on that team, doing their job. And so we'll get to that here in just a second. But first, let's take a look at the fake punt. So what I have up here, this is Virginia Tech's punt formation with all the players' numbers, and then I have Wake Forest defense set up against us, their punt return team. Couple things that I want to go over before we get into the ins and outs of this play. So this is a variation of the punt formation that is commonly referred to as the three bears. And so when we call it the three bears, those are these three guys here that act as the personal protectors for the punter. In this particular formation, though, Stu Holt does a pretty good job of scheming up different punt formations. We don't really look the same from week to week. Sometimes we spread it out. Sometimes we'll bring everything in tight, depending on what area of the field that we're on. But in this case, the ball's at the 50-yard line. We're right in the middle of the field. It's a pivotal moment of the game. It's third quarter. The game hasn't been completely put away yet, even though Virginia Tech does have the lead. And this was a way after the offense kind of stumbled going 3 and out on this series. It was a way to just inject some momentum into the game and be able to kind of fire up the team altogether. And you can see that by the reactions of the players after this play was successful. The other cool thing about running fake punts and running trick plays and things like that, it just jacks up and energizes the team as a whole because you work really hard on it during the week. You have to execute it exactly right during practice or else you're not going to be able to run it. And so for a lot of these players, you know, it's a measure of pride for them to play on special teams, and they want to excel because it is a way to get more film on you. It's a way to for pro scouts and things like that to be able to look at, hey, I can do some different things out there. All right, so let's take a peek real quick at how this play ends up developing. So let's look at our gunners first. Let's go over some terminology real quick. So our gunners, those are going to be the two guys that are set out the widest. So the job of a gunner essentially is to, with essentially reckless abandon, I'm getting downfield as fast as I can, and I am trying to get to the ball, wherever that returner ends up. I'm trying to get there as fast as I can. I want to set up in front of him, force that guy to make a fair catch. Maybe he bobbles it. We can hop on the ball. Okay? The next two guys to the inside almost act as safeties in this formation here. And so you have Derek Canteen and Bryce Duke here, two guys also with some pretty serious wheels. Their job is going to be to get downfield and run their lane, but also kind of set up and kind of bracket the kick returner to not allow them to go anywhere if they were to break away from any one of the two gunners. Your three guys on the interior here, their job is essentially to block, 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 and then release downfield. And when they release downfield, their job is to get into running lanes. And when they get into the running lanes, they go downfield. They try to go, again, just go downfield and make the play. 3 Bears, their job is to protect, like we said, protect the punter, and then release downfield as well. And then you have your punter back here. After he kicks the ball, he's usually trailing the play, and he kind of acts as a safety. Okay, so we had punted the ball a couple of times before this, and we had basically looked at how they were aligning, and we looked at how they were overloading the defensive left, offensive right. And so we saw this overload and realized that, hey, there might be an opportunity here if Coach Pry wants to pull the trigger and go for it. There is an opportunity here to kind of to make something happen on special teams. So as soon as the ball is snapped, okay, a couple things happen. Okay, our gunners, boom, they're gone. They release downfield like they're supposed to. Okay, so that's kind of telling the returner, okay, this might be a normal punt. Okay, our inside guys are stop blocking, okay, the man that's over top of them. And when we say stalk block, that basically means that they're going to release downfield and they're going to kind of break down in front of the defender and kind of read wherever the defender goes. And so they want to mirror that defender. So now this is where the trick comes in here. As soon as 99 snaps the ball, all 3 of our frontline guys immediately release to their right. Okay, it pulls when they all release to the right. So when 48 leaves and releases to the right, it pulls this guy with him, and so he goes here. He goes over to his left. These guys are all running upfield as fast as they can, trying to get to the punt. They don't have any idea that anything is coming on. So it just basically leaves one guy here. Mario Kendricks does a phenomenal job. So when he releases upfield, Kendricks gets on him here, boom, kicks and rides him out of the play. That leaves Jack Hollifield here as the lead blocker right through the hole. The snap, which goes directly to Cole Nelson. Cole Nelson's going to take that ball, follow Hollifield, and the only guy left there to make the play is the kick returner. Peter Moore does a great job of doing one of those, oh no, they faked it over my head. Does a great job with that fake too. It was just a very well executed fake punt. It got the offense back on the field after struggling for the first 3 plays of that drive. It injected some much needed momentum into the game. So let me go ahead and get rid of this real quick. We want to get rid of some of this stuff here. So the next play we want to look at this week is going to be the strip sack from Keonta Jenkins in the fourth quarter. That really kind of sealed the deal for the Hokies at the end of the game. So let's take a peek at Wake Forest's offensive lineup. So you have their center, guard, and tackle here. They actually line up in a bunch trips look like this. They are in 11 personnel. So you have, basically you have their wide receivers out here. You have a tight end playing in the inside slot, almost in a wingback look. You have another split end out here, quarterback, and you have Justice Ellison, running back, who had a pretty decent game himself there in the backfield. Defensively, it's going to be a very unique look for the Hokies this year because we haven't played a whole lot of man defense, man coverage. We've played a lot of zone, and when you play a lot of zone defense, holes open up. Receivers can kind of set down in there, and as long as the defensive line doesn't get pressure, quarterback can usually just kind of sit and pick apart. This week we changed it up a little bit. We went out and played a lot of man coverage. We played a lot of cover 0 where there's no safety high, and then we also play a lot of cover 1 like I'm about to show you here, where you have man across the board, and then you have a free safety in the back, and his responsibility is taking away any deep shots. Okay, so starting from left to right, you can have Derek Canteen out here. He's going to be locked up man-to-man. Okay, you're going to have Antoine Powell-Ryland right here. He's going to be playing a 5 technique, outside shade of the tackle. Okay, you're going to have Mario Kendricks in here. He's going to be playing a 2-eye, inside shade of the guard. You have Josh Fuga here, 6. He's going to be playing another 2-eye. He's inside shade of this guard. And then you're going to have Jade McDonald, 39. He's going to be playing another 5 technique, okay, outside of this tackle. Okay, in the middle here, you're going to have Kelly Lawson, 21, playing the backer. You're going to have 34, Alan Tisdale, also playing a linebacker. You're going to have Jalen Jones, a safety. Okay, he's going to be right on top of this point man in this trips look here. You have Keonta Jenkins out here, outside of him. And then if you have Mansour Delane, the other corner, playing to the outside. Then you have Stroman up here, 26. And he's that free safety in this cover 1 look. Now with this, when we call it cover 1, because essentially everybody is manned up, okay? Canteen is locked up with this gentleman here. Delane is going to be locked up with this outside slot receiver. Tisdale is going to be locked up with this inside guy here, and Jalen Jones is going to be locked up with the point man. Okay, so we have man across the board, everybody covered. All right. What's really going to make this play amazing is that everybody does their job. Everybody has a responsibility. Everybody executes that responsibility, and great things happen when you got all 11 people on the side working together. Okay. Defensive line on this play is going to run a slant. Okay. So they're going to run a slant to the weak side of the formation. So when you hear people say strong side or weak side, okay, they're basically looking at the strength of a particular formation. Okay. How many more players are on one side of the formation versus the other? So if you were to draw a line right down the middle here, you say you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players over here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. This would be the strong side. This would be the weak side. So we're going to slant to the weak side. So APR is going to slant over here. Kendricks is going to slant this way. Fuga is going to slant right here in this gap. Now, Jade McDonald hasn't played a whole lot this year, but really excelled in this game. He came up with a huge stop on a short yardage play earlier in the game, kind of submarined the play, caught the back in the backfield on a short yardage play and got the stop. Phenomenal play. And he makes a really good play here that's not going to go down in the stat sheet. What he does, he's playing in that outside shade in that 5 technique. And so Jade McDonald actually has to cross the face of the tackle. And so he crosses the face of the tackle and gets into this B gap right here. And when we say B gap, that is the gap between the guard and the tackle. So A gap would be here, B gap, and then C gap. So he crosses the face of the tackle, gets into that C gap, and when he does that, it gets the offensive tackle to kind of turn his shoulders a little bit and start chasing after him, which you're never supposed to do on the offensive line. But sometimes in the heat of the game, you kind of forget some of those things sometimes. We know that. We've seen some of our offensive line play that way. All right, so he crosses the face, gets the guy to turn. Now, as soon as these guys from Wake Forest, they release upfield, they get upfield, it leaves Keonta Jenkins here with a great angle to get to the quarterback with only one guy to help, and that is Justice Ellison. So when Ellison goes to meet him, he takes a bad angle to the inside. Jenkins is able to stay to the outside of him, make the play on the quarterback, and because we were so under control in our rush for a majority of the game, previous weeks, our defensive line had a tendency to kind of pin their ears back, rush recklessly upfield, and cause a lot of problems for ourselves by basically running ourselves out of the play. In this particular situation, because we were under control, because we maintained our gap integrity and maintained our responsibility on this play, after Jenkins makes this play here, strips the sack, APR is able to get the ball and turnover for the Hokies. This was a this was not necessarily the nail in the coffin of this game, but it definitely pointed us in the right direction to be able to close out this football game. The defense played fantastic overall. Like I said, the longest run I think they gave up was 12 yards, which had been the big hang up this year. And by playing under control, by playing disciplined, by the coaching staff being able to make adjustments when a new quarterback came into the game, and the overall scheme of controlled aggression, APR had 4 sacks and a couple of and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Our defense played the best game that they've played in many years overall, and it was a great experience for them, and it's a great thing for the Hokies to build upon going into the bye week before we play Syracuse in about 10 days. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I really love doing this. I'm glad for some of the feedback you guys are getting. All right, don't forget to subscribe to the Sons of Saturday YouTube page. Thanks to them, Billy Ray and Pat, once again for allowing me to do this and to have this forum out here. So for this week's Hokie Hitter of the Week, this is Coach Mike Holmes. As always, go Hokies.